Pilipino sa China biglang bumagsak sa mga tao.
Nakaligtas naman kaya ang mga taong tinamaan ng puno? Detalye po sa report nito, ating aalamin maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores, ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Miyerkules.
Philippine National Police, all systems go na para sa May 12 midterm polls.
Philippine Embassy sa Pakistan pinayuhan ang mga Pilipino na umiwas muna sa mga lugar malapit sa India-Pakistan border.
India, inilunsad na ang Operation Sindoor laban sa Pakistan.
US President Donald Trump at Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney nagpulong sa White House.
At hindi bababa sa 40 katao patay sa bumaliktad at sumabog na bus sa Uganda. Systems go na po ang Philippine National Police o PNP para sa isasagawang national and local elections sa araw ng Lunes, May 12.
Kaugnay nito ay muling ininspeksyon ng liderato ng pambansang pulisya ang NEMAC o ang National Election Monitoring and Action Center sa Camp Crame. Sa NEMAC, gagawin ang monitoring sa sitwasyon sa buong bansa bago, sa araw mismo at pagkatapos ng halalan. Mula rito, target ng National Police na makaresponde sa loob ng 5 minuto sa bawat tawag na kanilang matatanggap. Ayon kay Police General Romel Francisco Marbil, target din ng pambansang pulisya ang zero violence sa mismong araw ng eleksyon. Para masiguro ang seguridad ng bansa sa araw ng halalan, ay ide-deploy ang higit sa 3,000 kapulisan na sinanay bilang mga Special Electoral Board. Gayon din ang halos 38,000 tauhan ng Armed Forces of the Philippines o AFP, Philippine Coast Guard o PCG at Bureau of Fire Protection o BFP na makakatuwang naman ng PNP.
Tiniyak na Malacanang na handa na ang Department of Education para sa 2025 midterm elections. Kinumpirma ni Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro na sisimulan ng DepEd ang deployment ng mga guro simula sa May 11, 2025.
Alam natin po na mga guro ang makakasama po para po sa eleksyon sa May 12. Ang sabi po ni Department or DepEd Secretary Sani Angara, handa na po sila at magsasagawa po sila ng nationwide deployment ang DepEd Election Task Force para sa real-time na monitoring, tulong at agarang tugon sa mga insidente simula linggo, May 11.
Higit pa rito, kasado na rin ang iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan na makatutuwang ng mga gobyerno o ng guro sa darating na halalan. Makatutuwang din sa halalan ang Integrated Bar of the Philippines at ang Public Attorney's Office para magbigay ng libreng legal assistance sa mga guro laban sa anumang harassment at legal threats. Samantala, malugod namang tinanggap ng Malacanang ang mga international election observers na kinabibilangan ng 104 members ng European Union.
Muling pinagtibay ng Poland ang suporta nito sa karapatan ng Pilipinas sa West Philippine Sea. Sinabi ni Charge d'Affaires of the Republic of Poland, Adam Adis-Lewenski, ang commitment ng Warsaw sa United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea o UNCLOS at sa 2016 Permanent Court of Arbitration ruling na ipinagkaloob sa Pilipinas. Ipinahayag ito ng Polish officials sa naging selebrasyon ng Embahada ng Poland sa Manila para sa Constitution Day ng Poland. Ang Pilipinas at Poland ay may matagal na pinagsamahan, partikular sa trade at defense cooperation. Bilang kasosyo ng Pilipinas, naging instrumento rin ng Warsaw sa modernisasyon ng Armed Forces of the Philippines sa pamamagitan ng pagbigay nito ng Black Hawk at so-called helicopters. Higit pa rito, ang Poland din ang isa sa top trading partners ng Pilipinas mula sa mga European Union nations.
Bahagya namang dumami ang bilang ng mga Pilipinong walang trabaho ayon po yan sa Philippine Statistics Authority o PSA. Batay sa inilabas na datos ng PSA, tumaas sa 3.9% ang unemployment rate sa Pilipinas itong buwan ng Marso. Mas mataas ito ng bahagya sa naitala noong buwan ng Pebrero na 3.8%. Ibig pong sabihin, tumaas sa 1.94 milyon ang bilang ng mga Pilipinong walang trabaho mula sa bilang na 1.93 million. Sa kabila naman nito ay mas mababa pa rin ang naitalang bilang ng PSA kumpara noong March 2024 na 2 million Filipinos. Kaakibat nito ay bumaba ang employment rate sa bansa sa 96.1% mula sa 96.2%.
Muling binuksan ng Department of Transportation ang aplikasyon para sa Public Utility Vehicles Consolidation sa ilalim ng Public Transportation Modernization Program o PTMP. Batay sa inilabas na department order ng ahensya, bibigyan ng pagkakataon ng mga individual na mga operators at driver na hindi pa nakapag-consolidate na makakomply sa nasabing programa. Taong 2017 nang sinimula ng PTMP na layong palitan ng mga jeepneys ng modernisadong sasakyan na may Euro 4 compliant engines para mabawasan ang polusyon. Layon din ang programa na palitan na rin ang mga units na hindi na angkop para ibiyahe pa sa kalsada. Batay sa datos ng Transport Department, nasa 86% ng public utility vehicle sa bansa ang nag-apply para sa inisyal na bahagi ng PTMP habang 40% pa lamang sa mga ito ang inaprubahan na ng ahensya.
Hindi po pinagbigyan ng International Criminal Court o ICC ang hiling ng legal team ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na tanggalin ang dalawang judges sa pagdedesisyon kung maaaring dinggin ng naturang korte ang kanyang kasong crimes against humanity. Nais ng kampo ni Duterte na alisin sina Judge Reyna Lapini Gansu at Judge Maria Flores sa pagpapasya sa jurisdiction issue dahil sa possibility of perceived bias. Ito ay dahil sa ang dalawang judges na nabanggit ay dati nang nagdesisyon sa parehong issue ng jurisdiksyon. Subalit sa 4-page decision ng Pre-Trial Chamber 1 ng ICC, binanggit nito ang Article 41 ng Rome Statute at Rules 34 and 35 ng Rules of Procedure and Evidence. Nakasaad nila rito na ang mga judges lamang mismo ang maaaring humiling ng excusal mula sa kaso.
Inabisuhan ng Department of Foreign Affairs o DFA ang mga Pilipino sa India at Pakistan na iwasang pumunta sa Kashmir. Partikular na binanggit ng Embahada ng Pilipinas sa Pakistan ang Bimber City, Azad Kashmir, Sialkot Line of Control at alinmang lugar na nasa loob ng 5 milya mula sa hangganan ng India at Pakistan. Ito ay dahil sa lumalalang gulo sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa o ng New Delhi at Islamabad na parehong nakakasakop sa nasabing rehiyon. Kinumpirma rin ng DFA na may 30 mga Pilipino na nakatira sa Sialkot City pero sa ngayon ay wala pa anilang Pilipino na nadamay sa sigalot ng dalawang bansa. Pinayuhan din ng embahadang mga Pilipino sa Pakistan at India na panatilihing fully charged ang kanilang mga cellphone at dapat din anilang nakahanda ang kanilang mga gamit sa oras ng paglikas dahil sa gulo. Susunod, India sinimulan ng pambobomba sa Pakistan.
Israel predicting pa ang pag-atake sa Yemen.
At US President Donald Trump at Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney nagpulong na sa White House. Detalye po ng mga balitang yan at iba pa ring mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba, sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Sinimulan na ng India ang Operation Sindoor upang targetin ang mga kampo ng mga terorista sa Pakistan.
Earlier this morning, as you would be aware, India exercised its right to respond and preempt as well as deter more such cross-border attacks. These actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate and responsible. They focused on dismantling the terrorist infrastructure and disabling terrorists likely to be sent across to India.
Tinitingnan nito bilang tugon sa pahalgam attack noong April 22 na nagresulta sa 26 na pagkamatay. Gumamit ang Indian Armed Forces ng makabagong sandata katulad ng loitering munitions upang wasakin ang Jaish-e-Mohammed OJEM at LET base sa Pakistan. Ayon sa Indian Ministry of Defense, ang mga pag-atake pinlano ng maingat upang maiwasan ang pag-target sa mga pasilidad ng militar ng Pakistan.
It was deemed essential that the perpetrators and planners of the 22nd April attack be brought to justice. Despite a fortnight having passed since the attacks, there has been no demonstrable step from Pakistan to take action against the terrorist infrastructure on its territory or on territory under its control. Instead, all it has indulged in are denials and allegations.
Kinumpirma ng militar ng Pakistan na may mga missile strikes sa Kotli, Bahawalpur, Muridke, Bag at Muzaffarabad na nagdulot ng matinding tensyon sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa. Nagbabala ang Defense Minister ng Pakistan na maaaring magresulta ito sa all-out war kung ipagpapatuloy ng India ang ganitong hakbang.
At 6 locations where the Indians attacked last night, unprovoked, the blatant aggression that they did, Pakistan has lost 26 civilians and 46 are injured. After they have released their weapons, only after that they were engaged and shot at. Once they have taken on the unprovoked, uncalled for aggression against the state, the territorial integrity, and the innocent people of Pakistan by firing at them through standoff weapons. Only after that, Pakistan Air Force and these armed forces engaged them and took them down. Pakistan reserves the right and will respond to this aggression at a time, place, and means of our own choice.
Samantala, tiniyak naman ng Pakistan na sila ay gaganti sa ginawang pag-atake ng India. Naglunsad ng malawakang pag-atake ang India sa siyam na lugar sa Pakistan at Kashmir region. Ayon sa Pakistan military, na sa insidente ay ikinasawi ng halos 30 katao habang nasa 50 namang pataas ang sugatan habang kasalukuyan nagsasagawa pa ng search and rescue operations ang mga otoridad.
IFB details as far as ground operations are concerned that Pakistan has engaged the Indian troops at multiple locations of line of control. And we have successfully not only taken on them, neutralized them at multiple locations, and we have the visuals of a lot of damage that is coming across the line of control of their bunkers, of their posts, of their units, and other locations. But the damage assessment, I think, is going to take some time.
Magugulita ang kapwa inaangkin ng India at ng Pakistan ng Kashmir kung saan noong nakaraang buwan lamang ay pinagbabaril ng rebeldeng grupo mula sa Pakistan ang mga turistang India na nasa lugar. Ito ang pinakabago at pinakamadugong kabanata sa gitna ng India o pagitan ng India at Pakistan matapos ang iilang dekadang pagtaas ng tensyon sa gitna ng magkapitbahay na bansa. Nanindigan naman ng Pakistan sa pag-atake na ito ng India ay maituturing na isang malaking paglabag sa soberenya ng Islamabad at gagawin ng Pakistan ang lahat upang ipagtanggol ang kanilang teritoryo.
Then Pakistan will take all the steps that are necessary to defend its territorial integrity, sovereignty, and honor of the country and its people. And these steps are but Pakistan remains a very responsible state. As you understand that after the Pahalgam incident also, Pakistan offered that instead of putting allegations without evidence, there is a need for undertaking a transparent, independent inquiry by neutral inquiry. And so that's the way forward that we suggested, because we didn't see any shred of evidence on these allegations.
Nababahala ang international community sa kasalukuyang sitwasyon ng India at Pakistan. Nangyari ito ilang oras lamang matapos ang paglungsad ng India ng Operation Sindoor sa Pakistan bilang tugon sa nangyaring terror attack sa rehiyon ng Kashmir noong mga nakaraang linggo. Mari namang kinundana ng Pakistan ang naging galaw ng India kung saan tinawag nilang duwag ang Indian military at nangakong maghihiganti ito.
आज रात बुज़दिल भारत ने पाकिस्तान पर बिला इश्तियाल जाहरियत की है और मासूम लोगों को टारगेट किया है। पाकिस्तानी अफवाज पाकिस्तान के अवाम की भरपूर हमायत से इस वक्त दुश्मन की इस जाहरियत का मुकम्मल और भरपूर जवाब दे रही है और इसको इस जाहरियत का मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जाएगा।
Matapos makipagpulong kay Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, sinabi naman ni US President Donald Trump na siya'y nadismaya sa balita ukol sa dalawang bansa at sana raw ay mabilis itong masolusyonan ng dalawang bansa.
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
Habang sa Japan naman ay nanawagan si Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi para sa mapayapang pagresolba ng hidwaan sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa. Sinabi nitong sana ay magkaroon ng komprehensibong dialogo sa gitna ng dalawang partido.
今回の事態がさらなる報復の応酬を招き、本格的な軍事紛争にエスカレートすることを強く懸念しておりまして、南アジアの平和と安定のため、インド、パキスタン双方が自制し、対話を通じて事態を安定化させることを強く求めます。
Sa kabila naman ito ay pinag-iingat naman ng China ang kanilang mga mamamayan na mapadpad sa mga lugar na posibleng madamay sa kaguluhan at sinabi nitong handa ang China na makipagtulungan sa lahat ng bansa upang matugunan ang pangangailangan ng bawat isa para sa pagbabalik ng kapayapaan sa rehiyon.
我们对今天凌晨 印度的军事行动表示遗憾，对目前事态的发展感到担忧。印度和巴基斯坦是搬不走的邻居，也都是中国的邻国。中方反对一切形式的恐怖主义。我们呼吁印巴双方以和平稳定的大局为重，保持冷静克制，避免采取使局势进一步复杂化的行动。我们愿同国际社会一道努力，继续为缓解当前的紧张局势发挥建设性作用。中方正在密切关注事态的发展，建议在相关地区的中国公民和机构密切关注当地形势，提高安全风险防范意识，避免前往冲突涉及的地点。如遇紧急情况，请及时与中国驻当地的使领馆联系，寻求帮助。
Dumistansya si dating Prime Minister Han Duck-soo sa isyu ng martial law ilang linggo lamang bago ang presidential election sa South Korea. Tutulaan niya siya sa pag-issue ni dating President Yoon Suk-yeol ng martial law, subalit kinundira rin niya ang nangyaring political polarization sa kanilang gobyerno. Hindi anya titigil ang mga tao upang manalo at laganap din anya ang mga walang pakundangang fake news at conspiracy theories. Nababahala rin si Han dahil kung hindi anya magbabago ang politika sa South Korea ay guguho umano ang kanilang bansa. Kaya naman nais niya magkaisa ang Conservative People Power Party para sa kanyang kandidatura. Gayunman ay niliwanag niya na irerespeto niya ang anumang desisyon ng Conservative Party.
저는 우리 계엄에 대해서 일관되게 우리 국회나 또는 언론에 대해서 또 실제로 계엄이 일어난 그날에도 일관되게 저는 반대를 해왔습니다. 지금 한국 정치는 정치보다 폭력에 가깝습니다. 이기기 위해서는 수단과 방법을 가리지 않습니다. 무분별한 가짜뉴스와 음모론이 판을 칩니다. 상대방에 대한 관용은 사라진 지 오래입니다. 저는 정치가 완전히 바뀌지 않으면 우리 국민들이 애써 일으켜 세운 대한민국이 이대로 주저앉을지 모른다는 위기감 때문에 출마를 결심했습니다.
Four times the average year level ang shell production ng pabrika ng paggawaan ng mga bala sa North Korea. Kung kaya naman pinuri ni Pyongyang leader Kim Jong-un ang kanyang mga tauhan at sinabing mahalagang ginagampanan nilang papel sa pagpapataas ng basic combat power ng kanilang puwersang militar. Sa pag-inspeksyon ni Kim sa pabrika, ipinakita sa kanyang iba't ibang mga bala, bomba, missile at makinaryang pandigma. Samantala, sinabi ng mga mambabatas ng South Korea na malaking tulong ang ginawang pagsusupply ng North Korea ng mga missile at bala sa Russia. Bukod nila rito ay nag-deploy din ng 15 sundalo ang Pyongyang para tulungan ang Moscow sa pakikidigma nito sa Kiev.
Wala namang sinaya na sandali si Conservative leader Friedrich Merz matapos niyang mahalal na bagong Chancellor ng Germany ay kaagad siyang nakipagpulong sa kanyang gabinete.
Heute darf ich von Ihnen nun das Amt des Bundeskanzlers in diesem Haus übernehmen. Ich bin zunächst dankbar für die Unterstützung der Wählerinnen und Wähler und auch für das Vertrauen der Abgeordneten im Deutschen Bundestag, das ich heute dann im zweiten Wahlgang gefunden habe. Die Verantwortung, die dieses Amt mit sich bringt, sie ist mir sehr bewusst. Ich nehme diese Verantwortung mit Demut, aber, meine Damen und Herren, auch mit Entschlossenheit und mit Zuversicht an.
Hindi kaagad na upong Chancellor si Merz kahapon dahil nabigo siya makuha ang majority vote ng Bundestag sa first round voting. Gayunman ay nagpasalamat pa rin siya sa tiwalang ibinigay sa kanya ng parlamento. Tiwala naman si dating German Chancellor Olaf Scholz sa bago nilang leader dahil aasikasuhin kaagad ni Merz ang problema ng kanilang bansa na siyang lubos nilang kinakailangan.
Sie können also direkt loslegen, so wie es die Bürgerinnen und Bürger unseres Landes erwarten, so wie es die unruhigen Zeiten auch erfordern. Dafür wünsche ich Ihnen und Ihrem ganzen Team viel Erfolg, viel Kraft und alles Gute und Ihnen allen Schönen Dank.
Dumalo si King Charles kasama ang ilang miyembro ng royal family sa 80th anniversary ng Victory in Europe o VE Day sa London. Masayang pinanood ng mga veterano at ng maraming tao ang engranding parada ng militar at flypast. Mahigit 1,300 miyembro ng British Armed Forces ang nagmarcha sa kahabaan ng Central London. Tatagal ng 4 na araw ang VE celebration sa London na siyang paggunita ng Britanya sa pagtatapos ng World War II sa Europa.
Inamin naman ni Prince Harry na nais niya makipagkasundo sa British royal family. Subalit, tumanggi raw makipag-usap ang kanyang amang si King Charles tungkol sa kanyang seguridad. Napakaraming anyang hindi pagkakaunawaan sa pagitan niya at ng ilang miyembro ng kanyang pamilya. Subalit, mahalagaan niya ang buhay at hindi niya alam kung hanggang kailan pa mabubuhay ang kanyang ama.
There have been so many disagreements, differences between me and some of my family. This current situation that has been now ongoing for 5 years with regard to human life and safety is the sticking point. It is the only thing that's left. Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things. But, you know, there is... I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious.
Kamakailan ay ibinasura ng korte ang apela ni Harry na huwag siyang tanggalan ng personal security habang siya at ang asawang si Meghan Markle maging ang kanilang mga anak ay nasa United Kingdom. Nawalan ang Sussex family ng personal security nang magdesisyon sina Harry at Meghan na bumaba sa kanilang royal duties noong taong 2020.
Mas pinaigting pa ng Israel ang kanilang pag-atake sa Houthi rebels sa Yemen. Pinakahuling pag-atake ng Israel ay ang Saan Airport sa Yemen. Ang nasabing airstrike ay bilang pagganti nila sa ginawang pag-atake ng Houthi rebels sa Ben Gurion o Gurion Airport sa Tel Aviv. Ayon sa Israel, kung sino man ang mananakit sa kanila ay asahan na 7 beses na mas matindi ang kanilang igaganti. Itinuturing din ng Israel na ang nasabing pag-atake sa Yemen ay isang mabigat na mensahe sa Iraq na siyang nasa likod na sumusuporta sa Houthi rebels.
אמרתי פעמים רבות שמי שתוקף את מדינת ישראל דמו בראשו. אתמול אמרתי שהתקיפה של החות'ים תענה לא בזבנג וגמרנו, אלא בזבנגים. אז אתמול נתנו זבנג, מכה קשה לנמל חודדה. היום מטוסינו תקפו את שדה התעופה בסאנה, שדה התעופה שמאפשר את צבא הטרור ואת הכניסה האווירית למדינת הטרור שמאפשרת את ירי הטילים נגדנו. הבחירה שלנו מתי להגיב, איך להגיב ועל איזה מטרות להגיב זה שיקול שאנחנו עושים כל פעם, וזה נוגע גם לפטרון של החות'ים, איראן, שבלעדי האישור שלהם והתמיכה שלהם לאורך זמן החות'ים לא יכולים לקיים את מתקפת הטילים הנפשעת עלינו. הנשיא טראמפ אמר את זה לפני חודש וחצי, אני אומר את זה גם היום. אנחנו נבוא חשבון עם כל מי שתוקף את מדינת ישראל.
Desidido si Colombian President Gustavo Petro na pumirma ng isang kasunduan para makasali sa Belt and Road Initiative ng China. Posible itong mangyari sa araw ng opisyal na pagbisita ni Petro sa Beijing na para sa ibang political scientists ay sisira sa relasyon ng Colombia at ng Estados Unidos. Ang Belt and Road Initiative ng China ay ang prestigious project ni Chinese leader Xi Jinping na naglalayong palawakin ng impluwensya sa ekonomiya at politika ng kanyang bansa sa ibayong dagat. Subalit para kay President Javier Diaz sa National Association of Foreign Trade ng Colombia, inconvenient ang desisyon ni Petro. Hindi na ipinaliwanag ni Diaz ang dahilan kung bakit tila negatibo ang magiging hakbang ng kanilang Pangulo. Subalit, obserbasyon naman ng ilan, ito ay dahil sa lumalamig na relasyon ng Bogota at Washington dahil pa rin sa trade war.
Personal na binisita ni Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney si US President Donald Trump. Ang nasabing pagbisita ay kasunod ng tensyon sa usaping pangkalakalan kung saan nagpatupad ng mataas na taripa ang US sa mga produkto ng Canada. Sa nasabing pulong ay hindi napigilan ni Trump na magbiro sa kagustuhan niya at ng ibang mga Canadians na maging 51st state ang Canada ng Estados Unidos.
I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Ngunit muling iginiit ni Carney na hindi ibinebenta ang Canada bilang kasagutan sa plano ni Trump.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
Nanindigan naman si Trump na kahit nagpulong na sila ni Carney ay hindi pa rin magbabago ang desisyon nito na magpatupad ng taripa at hindi o wag na wag daw magsalita ng tapos pagdating sa usapin ng pag-anib ng Canada sa Estados Unidos.
I must say Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say never say never. I've had many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
Magugunit ang pinatawa ni Trump ng 25% na taripa ang mga produkto ng Canada kung saan gumanti rin ang Canada at pinatawa ng taripa ang nasa $43 billion na halaga ng mga produkto ng Estados Unidos.
Susunod, nasa 40 katao patay matapos tumaob ang bus sa Uganda.
Rockstar nilabas ang trailer ng pinaka-aabangang GTA 6.
At mga artista nirampa ang kanilang stunning looks sa Met Gala. Mga detalye po ng mga balita niyan at iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik pa rin ng Mata ng Agila International.
Sa kasulukuyang henerasyon, marami na ang nag-viral. Dahil po yan sa kanilang ginagawang pagtulong sa kapwa. Pero mas marami ang tumutulong kahit walang nakakakita. Kaya naman kung ikaw ay may kilala na grupo o individual na may natatanging pagresponde sa lipunan at maging sa kalikasan, mag-text lamang sa 0915-415-1035 o mag-email sa responde@net25.com at magpadala ng mensahe sa ating Facebook page at NET25 TV. Baka kayo na ang susunod nating Certified Key Responder.
Let's net together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
ngayong eleksyon, hatid ng NET25 News and Information. Ang malawak na pagbabantay sa boto ng bayan. Mula botohan hanggang bilangan. Kasama ang mga pangalang may prinsipyo at paninindigan. Matatag, matapang at matapat. Mula Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Sama-sama tayong maging mata ng halalan.
Pakistan's truck drivers adore their painted lorries.
Bicycles with motors, a huge market for the bicycle industry, and a chance to save CO2. They are already all the rage in Germany. Rev.
Ang mga maiinit na balita at rumaratsyad ang usapan ng bayan, ihahatid namin sa 100%! 100% ang pagbabalita! 100% talakayan! Lunes hanggang Biyernes! Alas 5 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga! Live na live sa Radyo Agila 1062 Mega Manila! At sa NET25 100%!
Sa NET25, let's get together. Sa NET25.
At nagbabalik ang mata ng Agila International sa pagpapatuloy po ng ating mga balita ngayong gabi. Dumating ngayong Miyerkules sa North Korea si Deputy Prime Minister Yuri Shuleyko ng Belarus para sa ika-4 na Trade and Economic Cooperation Talks. Mismong si Pai Kuyonam, Vice Minister ng External Economic Relations ng North Korea, ang sumalubong sa grupo ni Shuleyko sa airport ng Pyongyang. Magtatagal ng 4 na araw ang delegasyon ng Belarus sa Pyongyang. Inaasahan ng geopolitical experts na kagaya ng relasyong Russia at Belarus, palalakasin din ng Minsk at Pyongyang ang kanilang bilateral ties, lalo na at kilalang malalapit na kaalyado ni Russian President Putin, sina North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at President Alexander Lukashenko ng Belarus.
Nagpalitan ng prisoners of war ang Russia at Ukraine noong Martes bilang bahagi ng isang kasunduang pinangunahan ng United Arab Emirates. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay Mayfanway Zaragoza.
Sa naganap na palitan ng prisoners of war sa pagitan ng magkalabang mga bansang Russia at Ukraine, nagpasalamat si Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sa United Arab Emirates sa ginawang pamamagitan nito. Sa kanyang Telegram app, pinasalamatan ni Zelensky ang UAE sa tulong nito at sinulat ang mga katagang, "Today, Ukraine has brought back 205 warriors." Nakaabang ang magkapatid na Anastasia Dobrevia at Inha Palamarchuk sa bus lulan ang kanilang kapatid na lalaking POW na makakauwi na.
Ми переживаємо, ми радимося і переживаємо, і ми не можемо повірити, що нарешті це здійснилося.
Pagkababa ng kanilang kapatid na si Yuri Dobrev, niyakap nila ito ng mahigpit.
Все, девчонки, я дома. Мої сестри, найдорожчі мої люди.
Скільки ви не бачили?
1,5 року.
1,5 роки.
Юр, задавай.
Дякую. Днем народження.
Дякую. Не знаю, не можу дати інформацію.
А щось про його знаєте? Ні?
Живий, все нормально.
Ayon sa Ukrainian Prisoners of War Affairs Organization, ang mga pinawalang bihag ay 202 enlisted men at 3 opisyal mula sa iba't ibang sangay ng militar at National Guard. Dagdag nito, ang palitan ng POW ngayon ay panlima sa taong ito at pang-64 naman mula nung umpisa ng labanan. Ang gyera ay 38 buwan na ngayon. May from Zaragoza para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Nagtakbuhan ang mga tao sa isang parking area sa Xi'an, Shanxi, China matapos bumagsak ang isang malaking puno. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, bago ang insidente ay biglang umiihip ang malakas na hangin na naging sanhi ng pagtumpa ng nasabing puno. Makikita po sa CCTV footage ang ilang sandali ng trahedya. Mapapansin din na ilan sa mga tao ay tinamaan pa ng sanga ng puno. Buti na lamang ay nakaiwas karamihan sa mga tao at walang napaulat na nasawi sa insidente. Samantala, pinayuhan ng mga otoridad ng mga residente nga manatili muna sa loob ng kanilang tirahan sa oras na tumama ang bagyo sa kanilang lugar.
Hindi naman bababa sa 40 katao ang nasawi sa bumaligtad at sumabog na pampaserong bus sa Central Ugandan District ng Buwikwe. Kinumpirma ni Directorate of Traffic and Road Safety spokesperson Michael Cananura ang pagkamatay ng mga tao. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, nagsimula ang insidente matapos sumalpok ang bus sa isang commercial motorcycle bago mawalan ito ng kontrol. Dumating ang mga bombero sa crash site para apulahin ang apoy. Dinala sa ospital ang hindi bababa sa 30 mga nakaligtas sa trahedya para mabigyan ng medical na atensyon. Iniimbestigahan na ng pulisya ang insidente.
Hindi naman nakaligtas ang hindi bababa sa 20 pasahero sa Indonesia matapos sumalpok ang sinasakyan nilang bus. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, 36 na pasahero ang nakaligtas mula sa insidente kung saan dinala sila sa Padang-Panjang Regional Hospital. Batay sa investigasyon ng Panjang Police Traffic Patrol Unit, pinaniniwala ang brake failure ang sanhi ng insidente. Dagdag pa nila, dumaan ang bus sa pababang kalsada ng Bukit Surungan area, isang kilalang lugar na madalas may road accident dahil sa makitid ang daan nito. Sa ngayon, nakadetine ang bus driver para pagpaliwanagin sa kabuuang detalye ng bus crash.
Kasalukuyang pinaghahanap ng Beaverton Police Department ang driver na suspect sa hit-and-run attack sa kahabaan ng isang highway sa Oregon. Ayon sa ulat ng pulisya, road rage ang pinaniniwala ang sanhi kung bakit sinalpok ng kotse ang nakasabayan nitong motorcycle rider. Sa dashcam footage, mapapansin na may sinenyas ang rider sa driver na siyang tinitingnan na dahilan ng alitan ng dalawang motorista. Sa ngayon, kritikal ang lagay ng motorcycle rider at kasalukuyang inoobserbahan ang lagay niya ng mga doktor.
Dudulog naman sa Korte ang Democratic Alliance sa South Africa upang questionin ang Employment Equity Amendment Act. Ayon po sa grupo, labag sa konstitusyon ng nasabing batas dahil isa raw itong race law. Pinahihintulutan ng Employment Equity Amendment Act ang Labor Minister na magtakda ng bilang ng mga non-white people at mga kababaihan kada sektor para sa management level positions. Binigyan diin ng Democratic Alliance na tinututulan nila sa simula pa lamang ang nasabing batas dahil patuloy itong magtataas ng bilang ng kawalan ng trabaho at pagbaba ng paglago ng ekonomiya.
Nag-strike ang mga driver ng pampublikong sasakyan sa Buenos Aires. Hiling nila ang mas maayos na pasweldo. At dahil sa naantalang serbisyo, maraming pasahero ang naiwan sa bus stop sa walang masakyan. Si Sean Davila para sa report.
Noong Martes, nagprotesta ang transport workers ng Buenos Aires na humihingi ng hindi lamang dagdag sahod kundi ng mas maayos na kompensasyon.
Los trabajadores de la línea 60 adherimos al paro nacional que llamó la UTA, ya que nosotros estamos reclamando una recomposición salarial, no un aumento de sueldo, una recomposición salarial de 2.500.000 pesos, ya que el salario de una discusión de hace 4 meses se viene dilatando un montón y nos querían dar unas migajas como aumento de salario.
Ayon sa Union of Motor Transport Workers o UTA, sinundan ng strike ang nahintong negosasyon ukol sa dagdag sahod na tumagal ng 4 na buwan. Para sa mga driver, hindi sapat ang kanilang tinatanggap para sa kanilang pamilya.
Esto no va para más, evidentemente esto nos está afectando a todos, en nuestro salario, nuestra dignidad laboral, nuestra familia, cae sobre todo. Somos trabajadores que dijimos basta todo esto porque es insostenible.
Samantala, inakusahan ng administrasyon ni Pangulong Javier Milei ang strike na anyay ng hostage ng mga pasahero. Tinawag nitong pangingikil ang kahilingan ng drivers. Ayon naman sa mga lider ng Unyon, desperado na sa kanilang sitwasyon ang mga manggagawa. Pinigyang diin ng strike ang kasalukuyang paghihirap sa Argentina kung saan sa kabila ng tagumpay ng gobyernong pakalmahin ang mataas na inflation rates, nananatiling mahina ang kakayahan ng mga manggagawang bumili. Sean Davila para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Maraming negosyo ngayon ang epektado dahil tinanggal ni US President Donald Trump ang de minimis exemption. Ang nasabing tax exemption ay ginagamit ng maraming Chinese sellers para magpadala ng kanilang mga produkto sa Estados Unidos sa mababang presyo na walang binabayarang duty or import tax. Isa na nga ang watchmaker na si Quinn Lai na maaapektuhan sa ginawang ito ni Trump. Sa halip na mawala naman ng pag-asa dahil mahihirapan siya sa US market, naisip ni Quinn na palagain na lamang ang kanyang customer base sa Europa. Gagamit na lamang din niya siya ng mga localized items sa kanyang mga materyales ng paggawa ng relo. Gusto rin ni Quinn na i-explore ang Japan market para hindi na siya umasa masyado sa magiging benta niya sa Estados Unidos.
Sa halagang $9.42 billion ay mabibili na ng 3G Capital ang sneaker brand na Skechers. Ito ang pinakamalaking buyout sa industriya ng footwear industry. Tumaas din ng 25% ang stock ng Skechers pero ayon sa trade analysts, mababa pa rin ito. Binawi rin ng kumpanyang financial forecasts nito noong nakaraang buwan dahil sa 145% tariff ng administrasyong Trump sa China.
News naman para sa mga gamers dahil inilabas na ng Rockstar Games ang second trailer ng pinaka-aabangan po ninyong open world game na Grand Theft Auto or GTA 6. Nagsimula ang trailer sa perspective ni Jason Duval, isa sa main characters ng laro, na sinundan naman ng introduction sa partner in crime nito na si Lucia Caminos. Iikot ang istorya ng laro sa pagsisimula ng panibagong buhay ni Lucia at Jason sa loob ng crime-filled state ng Leonida. Nagpakita ng ilang sneak peek ang Rockstar Games sa mga panibagong lokasyon ng laro at mga posibleng mga bagong karakter na makakasama ng dalawa. Inaasahang ilalabas ang laro sa publiko sa May 26, 2026. Para po yan sa PS5 at Xbox Series X at S. Sa kabila nito, hindi kinumpirma ng Rockstar Games kung may Switch 2 at PC support ang laro.
Seriously, dude, you got some time on your hands. I got...
Matagumpay ang pagtatapos ni Halliburton para sa pangalawang paghaharap ng Indiana Pacers laban sa Cleveland Cavaliers sa round 2 habang nanaig naman ang Golden State Warriors sa Game 1 face-off laban sa Minnesota Timberwolves sa kabila ng natamong injury ni Stephen Curry. Si Kyle Lara nagbabalik para sa play-by-play.
Sinubukan ng Cleveland na tablahin ang laban sa Indiana para sa kanilang second round matchup ng playoffs. Ngunit binigla ni Tyrese Halliburton ang madla matapos niyang sumagot ng isang game-winning step-back clutch 3 para sa 2-0 Pacers lead. Hinarap rin ng Cavs ang koponan sa kabila ng pagliban ng injured starters na sina Evan Mobley, Darius Garland at DeAndre Hunter. Nagtapos ang kanilang Game 1 showdown sa isang puntos na pagitan na 120-119. Nagkamit ang maestro ng 19 points, 9 rebounds at 4 assists. Kasabay ng pangunguna ni Aaron Nesmith na may 23 points at 4 rebounds para sa Pacers. Nakatakda ang kanilang Game 3 rematch ng Sabado sa Indiana.
Halliburton +1.
You know, I always say, playoff series don't start till, somebody wins a road game. Well, we won two. And, we're going back home where we've had a lot of success over the last 2 years in the playoffs. But I think you have to understand, being down 2-0, losing both on your home floor, they're going to come to play desperate.
Samantala, nakasurvive ang Warriors mula sa kanilang laban sa Timberwolves matapos magtamo ng hamstring injury ang kanilang golden star na si Stephen Curry sa second quarter ng paglalaro. Sa kabila ng pagliban, nagtapos naman siya ng 13 points sa kanyang 13 minutes on the court. Nanaig naman sa pagpapatuloy ng laro sina Buddy Hield na may 24 points, 8 rebounds at 3 assists, si Jimmy Butler na may 20 points, 11 rebounds at 8 assists, at si Draymond Green na may 18 points, 8 rebounds at 6 assists. Sa kabila ng pagkatalo, nakamit pa rin si Anthony Edwards ng 23 points at 14 rebounds, kasabay ni Julius Randle na may 18 points at 6 assists, at ni Rudy Gobert na may 9 points at 11 rebounds. Kyle Lara para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Muli namang umangat si 2022 US Open Girls Champion Alex Agila sa Women's Tennis Association o WTA rankings kasunod ng kanyang kampanya sa Mutua Madrid Open. Umabot si Agila sa ikalawang round sa Madrid bago natalo sa kanyang rematch laban sa world number 2 na si Iga Swiatek sa score na 6-4, 4-6 at 2-6. Nakatakda namang sumabak si Agila sa WTA 1000 Italian Open ngayong buwan.
Ilalim ng temang Superfine Tailoring Black Style, ipinamalas po ng mga dumalo sa Met Gala 2025 ang makabagong interpretasyon ng Black Dandyism. Umani ng atensyon sila Zendaya at Anna Saway na kapwa nagsuot ng halos magkaparehong puting Louis Vuitton suit na idinisenyo ni Pharrell Williams. Si Zendaya ay nagbigay pugay sa mga vintage icons kagaya na Bianca Jagger at Diana Ross, habang si Saway ay nagpakita ng self-interpretation sa kanyang suot. Nagpakita rin ng kakaibang style si Damson Idris sa kanyang Formula 1-inspired outfit bilang pagkilala sa F1 driver at co-chair ng gala na si Lewis Hamilton. Pinaghalo niya racing aesthetics at high fashion sa kanyang look. Hindi rin nagpahuli ang power couple na sina Rihanna at A$AP Rocky sa kanila namang coordinated outfits. Si Rihanna sa isang Marc Jacobs na damit na bahagyang ipinakita ang kanyang pagbubuntis at si Rocky naman sa isang fusion ng streetwear at formal tailoring. Bilang bahagi ng gabi, binuksan ang Supreme Exhibit na isinakatuparan ni Miller. Itinampok dito ang mga kasuotan, larawan at artifacts na nagpapakita ng kasaysayan, katatagan at kagandahan ng black fashion sa paglipas ng panahon.
Susunod, Legoland sa Shanghai magbubukas na.
At isang warang tatay sa China may birthday surprise para sa kanyang anak.
Abangan naman ang iba pang mga storya pagdating ni Alma Angeles at ng NET25 World News. Wala po muna nga alis, magbabalik pa ang mata ng Agila International.
Trask Construction, your trusted partner in hospital building. Trask Construction. Ramdam na ang tindi ng init ng araw. Para masigurong protektado ang ating kalusugan ngayong tag-init, narito ang ilang tips mula sa Department of Health. Kung maaari, huwag munang lumabas ng bahay tuwing matindi ang tirik ng araw. Siguraduhin din na lagi tayong nakakainom ng tubig. Gumamit ng payong at sombrero. Magdala din ng pamaypay. At para laging cool, samahan ng masayang talakayan nina Ali Soto at Pat P. Daza dito sa ASPN. Ano sa palagay nyo? Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 8 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga, dito lamang sa NET25.
Together sa NET25.
Hindi lahat ng kumpanya papayagan kang gawin lahat ng gusto mo.
Sobra na pang bubuli sa office ni Sofia.
Gusto niya sumali ka sa team niya.
Hindi pwede. Pumirma ako ng non-compete agreement.
Gagawin kong invalid yun.
Kaya naman, oras na para magpalit ng career.
Magsisimula ako ng business?
May advice ka ba sa akin, Mr. Han?
Nandito ako para panoorin kang mabigo.
As beautiful as you. Gabi-gabi, 9 p.m. Dito lang sa NET25.
Let's get together sa NET25.
I had tuberculosis, but I got better. It was later that I heard I had silicosis. Perilous poverty. Women in India are risking their lives to earn a pittance. Can anyone help them?
Global Us.
Inanunsyo ng Legoland Shanghai na kanilang bubuksan ang pintuan ng kanilang resort sa publiko ngayong summer ng 2025. Batay sa website ng resort, binubuo ang Legoland Shanghai ng higit kumulang 77 interactive rides at attractions na maaaring kahumalingan ng mga bisita. Matatagpuan ang resort sa Fengjin Town sa Jishan District. Ilan sa mga kakaibang mga attractions dito ay ang Oriental Culture at Yangtze River Delta Region Theme Zone nito. Higit pa rito ay tinatampok din ng resort ang 8 theme park na ibinase sa Lego City, Lego Ninjago World, Lego Kingdom at iba pa. Dinisenyo ang Legoland Shanghai bilang isang family-friendly resort at maging angkop para sa mga batang edad 2 hanggang 12.
Bilang sorpresa sa third birthday ng kanyang anak na babae ay ginawa ng isang kastilyo ng isang tatay sa China ang loob ng kanyang freight truck. Nagkaroon ng malaking transformation ang simpleng interior ng truck matapos punuin ng mga lobo at makukulay na ilaw ang loob ng sasakyan. Ayan po, makita niyo po sa video, ayon sa nanay ng bata, pinagtulungan nilang baguhin ang loob ng truck para gawing memorable ang kaarawan ng kanilang anak. Gustoan nilang gawing munting prinsesa ang kanilang anak kahit isang araw lamang. Umani naman ng 1.9 million views ang video na ito sa Douyin dahil maraming mga netizens ang naantig sa heartwarming surprise na ito. At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita sa amang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi, ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores. Ito po ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa NET25 World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News on tonight's headlines. Tensions have exploded between nuclear-armed India and Pakistan. Just yesterday, India launched attacks into Pakistan and Pakistani Kashmir, and Pakistan retaliated, claiming to have shot down 5 Indian fighter jets. And the news starts now. Tensions have exploded between nuclear-armed India and Pakistan. Just yesterday, India launched attacks into Pakistan and Pakistani Kashmir, and Pakistan retaliated, claiming to have shot down 5 Indian fighter jets. And this is the worst fighting we've seen between these two in over 2 decades. Now, India says they hit 9 Pakistani sites linked to terrorist infrastructure, pointing to a recent attack on Hindu tourists in their Kashmir that killed 26. Islamabad says 6 of their locations were hit with 8 people killed. And sources in India's defense are saying they targeted the headquarters of major Islamist militant groups. India's defense ministry stated they showed considerable restraint in their targets. Now, Pakistan is telling a different story. Their military spokesperson claimed 5 Indian aircraft were downed after Indian missiles hit 3 locations.
And so far, I can confirm you that 5 Indian aircrafts, including 3 Rafale, 1 Su-30 and 1 MiG-29 have been shot down, and 1 Heron drone has also been shot down. I would also like to emphasize that all of these engagements have been done as a defensive measure. After these aircraft or the Indian aircraft attacked the fire on the Pakistani territory.
Islamabad is furious, calling India's assault a blatant act of war, and has taken it to the UN Security Council, saying,
so there can be multiple questions raised on this cowardly act also, where the sovereignty of a country has been violated, where the Article 51 of the UN Charter, where we have all the right of defending ourselves, and in light of that article and of the international norms, we are defending the people of Pakistan.
We're also hearing reports of intense shelling and gunfire across the border in Kashmir. Now remember, India and Pakistan have fought 2 wars over this Muslim-majority region, which both claim. While there was a ceasefire in place, this kind of targeted strike by India deep into Pakistani territory is extremely rare, and analysts are warning this significantly raises the risk of things escalating.
South Asia can be in danger due to India's aggression. And India is also suffering. India would definitely suffer more than Pakistan. India would be losing $1 billion due to trade closure, of which Pakistani side have taken measures. There are like many, I mean hundreds of families who are being suffered due to this conflict, because both sides have shut down their borders. And being neighbors, both countries have like a good exchange of people. I mean, people do have like a relationship and do have marriages across the border. So I mean, it's a human tragedy as well, and a human crisis as well, that mothers are being asked to leave respective countries without their children. So it is going to be turned to human crisis.
India's even calling this operation Sindoor. The world is closely watching. U.S. President Trump called the situation a shame.
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
While the UN is urging maximum restraint from both sides.
It is also essential, especially at this critical hour, to avoid a military confrontation that could easily spin out of control. Now is the time for maximum restraint and stepping back from the brink. That has been my message in my ongoing outreach with both countries. Make no mistake, a military solution is no solution.
Pakistan's Prime Minister said they're responding and a state of emergency has been declared in their Punjab province. The news is already having an impact. Indian stock futures dipped slightly and several airlines have canceled flights in the region due to airspace closures. India's National Security Advisor has been on the phone with top officials in the U.S. and other key nations, trying to keep them informed. Now, the story of Kashmir and why it's a constant source of conflict between India and Pakistan goes way back to the very creation of both nations. When British India was divided, the status of Kashmir was left hanging, and that decision has had a lasting impact, turning this region into a focal point of dispute for decades. Let's take a look at why that is.
The April 22 attack in India's Jammu and Kashmir territory was the deadliest on civilians in nearly 2 decades in the country. But the area has long been a source of tension between India and Pakistan. They both claim the Himalayan region, and it has been the site of multiple wars, insurgencies, and diplomatic standoffs. Here's a look at some of the causes.
When India takes her place
as a free and independent dominion in the British
Colonial India was partitioned into two states at the end of British rule in 1947, mainly Hindu India and mostly Muslim Pakistan. Between Pakistan's northeast and India's northern tip is Kashmir.
Pakistan's argument has always been that because there were Muslim majority, especially in the Kashmir Valley, therefore this territory should have naturally come to Pakistan.
That's Aisha Siddiqa, a war studies senior fellow at London's King's College. She said India's claim of Kashmir is also ideological.
The Congress government, Indian Congress government, was secular. And their argument was that giving this territory to Pakistan on the basis of religious identity would mean that, that would challenge India's existence as a secular state, which could have both Muslims and Hindus living together.
In the end, the region was divided up. India had the Kashmir Valley, Ladakh and Jammu, which was given semi-autonomous status. Islamic Pakistan controls Azad Kashmir or Free Kashmir and the northern areas. In addition, China runs Aksai Chin. Kashmir has been scarred by multiple conflicts over the years, including 3 full-blown wars between India and Pakistan. In 1989, Muslim separatists in Kashmir began an insurgency against what they saw as heavy-handed rule by India. India poured troops into the region, and tens of thousands of people have since been killed. India has repeatedly accused Pakistan of arming and training militants. Pakistan denies those claims, saying it offers only moral and diplomatic support. Kashmir Resistance, also known as the Resistance Front, has claimed responsibility for the April 22 attack. In 2019, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government revoked Kashmir's semi-autonomous status and reorganized the state's administrative territories. Officials said the move would better integrate the region with the rest of the country. Pakistan strongly objected, downgrading diplomatic ties with India. But Indian officials say there have since been fewer large-scale attacks and an increase in tourist arrivals, though targeted killings of civilians and security forces continue to be reported. Siddiqa expressed concern over the renewed tensions between the two nuclear states.
What Kashmiris are very tired of is repression and state control on both sides. They want to live with dignity without fear and without presence of militaries on both sides.
After the April attack at the popular tourist site, crowds took to the streets. Among them, Mukhra Javed.
We just want to say that terrorism doesn't have a particular religion, and we as common Kashmiris stand for peace and will always stand for peace.
This doesn't represent Kashmir, she added. It doesn't represent us.
There's growing concern in the Philippines over China's actions around Bajo de Masinloc, also known as Scarborough Shoal, which is just over 200 kilometers from Zambales. Apparently, there's been a big jump in the number of Chinese paramilitary ships hanging around there in the past year. A U.S. study by Stanford University Sea Light Project, led by retired U.S. Colonel Ray Powell, reveals a dramatic surge in Chinese paramilitary ships, up to 78 around Scarborough Shoal in the West Philippine Sea, a significant increase from 57. Powell said China is aggressively trying to control the shoal, with Anna Van Amerongen noting Chinese ships actively block Philippine access. The Philippine National Security Council, through Jonathan Malaya, confirms the buildup, fearing militarization. Dr. J. Batongbakal of the University of the Philippines sees this as part of China's broader South China Sea control strategy, possibly linked to Taiwan. President Marcos has stood firm, saying the Philippines will stand firm for what is, quote, ours.
We will always stand for what is ours, and we will do so with dignity, with integrity, but with strength.
And we have news about bird flu here in the Philippines. The Bureau of Animal Industry just confirmed our very first case of the highly dangerous H5N9 strain. It was found in ducks in Camaligan, Camarines Sur. The BIA said that this was actually detected during their regular monitoring, with positive tests coming back on April 30th. Right away, they've ordered a lockdown in the area, the culling of the remaining ducks, and they're working closely with local officials. They've also let the Department of Health know to keep an eye out for any possible human cases. Now, the good news is that the BAI says that based on what's known globally, while this H5N9 is really bad for birds, the risk to us humans is considered low. They already culled and properly disposed of the ducks on the affected farms yesterday, May 6th. And then starting today, they're doing intensive checks within a 1-kilometer zone, followed by more monitoring and cleaning. Newly re-elected Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has delivered a sharp message to U.S. President Donald Trump. Canada is not for sale. Their first face-to-face meeting was marked by a firm defense of Canadian sovereignty. Thomas R. Likeness for more.
Canada is not for sale. It never will be for sale.
That's Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney making good on a promise he made during the April 28th election campaign to push back against talk of annexation by the U.S. Carney traveled to Washington Tuesday to meet with Trump, and in the Oval Office, Trump continued to push the idea of Canada becoming the 51st American state.
You know, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada.
Carney's response led to this exchange.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, and having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
But I say never.
Following that meeting with Trump, Carney addressed the sovereignty issue with reporters.
The president has made known his wish about that issue for some time. I've been careful always to distinguish between wish and reality. I was clear there in the Oval Office, as I've been clear throughout on behalf of Canadians, that this is never going to happen. Canada is not for sale. It never will be for sale.
Carney says he told Trump to stop referring to Canada as the 51st state, but then he adds the president will say what he wants. Overall, Carney calls the meeting productive. Tariffs and trade dominated much of the discussions. He says the two sides will start serious talks on a new relationship he insists is needed in the wake of the tariffs. But Carney says don't expect an immediate deal.
We have a lot more work to do. I'm not trying to suggest at any respect that we can have one meeting and everything's changed, but now we are engaged and very fully engaged.
On trade, Trump sounds almost dismissive when talking about goods from Canada, reverting to his theme that America doesn't need anything from other countries.
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%, and usually those things don't last very long. We have great things, great product. The kind of product we sell, nobody else can sell.
Carney's trip to Washington impressed the financial markets. The Canadian dollar rose to a near 7-month high against its U.S. counterpart as investors assessed Carney's visit. Thomas I. Likeness, NET25 World News.
High-stakes diplomacy is on the agenda this weekend in Switzerland. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Chief Trade Negotiator Jamieson Greer will sit down with China's top economic official, He Feng, for crucial talks. The aim? To find a way out of the damaging trade war between the world's two largest economies. Take a look.
Chinese stocks got a boost Wednesday on glimmers of hope that a trade war with the US might just be set to ease. Benchmark indexes in Hong Kong and Shanghai were up around 0.5% by early afternoon. That followed news the day before that the US and China will hold talks in Geneva on Saturday. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Chief Trade Negotiator Jamieson Greer will meet Beijing Economic Tsar He Feng. The meeting will come after months of escalating tensions that have seen both sides impose tariffs way in excess of 100%. Now the two countries are expected to discuss reductions in the broader levies as well as possible exemptions for specific products. Speaking on Fox News, Besant said he thought the talks would focus on de-escalation. Appearing earlier Tuesday in Congress, he said no negotiations were yet underway with Beijing, but raised hopes of deals with other countries.
I would think that perhaps as early as this week, we will be announcing trade deals with some of our largest trading partners. They have come to us with very good offers.
However, Trump himself sent a slightly different message, saying he would review any potential deals over the next 2 weeks before deciding which ones to accept. Chinese officials confirmed the country would re-engage in talks, while also warning there could be no deal if there was any attempt at coercion. Beijing has previously said it would never kneel to what it has called US blackmail. But economists predict the trade turmoil could sharply cut global growth, ramping up pressure for some kind of agreement. Analysts at Japanese bank Nomura have predicted the tariff wars could cost China some 16 million jobs.
Now, the Trump administration is rolling out a new and some say controversial self-deportation program. They're offering undocumented immigrants $1,000 cash and a free flight home if they leave the U.S. voluntarily. The idea is to save money on arrests and forced deportations, which can be really expensive. Take a look.
But what we thought we'd do is a self-deport, where we're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people, if they're the kind of people that we want in our company, industrious people that could love our country. And if they're not, they won't. But it will give them a path to becoming, to coming back into the country. If they miss that limit, they're going to be taken out of our country. And they will never get a path to come back in.
President Trump announced the plan earlier this week, calling it a different way to enforce his immigration agenda. The administration argues this is more cost-effective than traditional deportations. So far, one Honduran migrant has taken the offer and returned home from Chicago. It's worth noting that since January, the U.S. has deported about 140,000 migrants, which is far less than the millions Trump promised during his campaign. Meanwhile, in a separate development, a federal judge has ordered the administration to admit 12,000 refugees, overruling their attempt to limit it to just 160. The Trump administration is still pushing for aggressive immigration policies, but they're facing legal challenges and implementation hurdles, making the future of these policies uncertain.
We're putting them in rapidly. We're trying to get very good ones. I mean, we need judges that are not going to be demanding trials for every single illegal immigrant. We have millions of people that have come in here illegally, and we can't have a trial for every single person. That would be millions of trials. The people elected me in a landslide with every single, we won every swing state, we won everything there is to win by big numbers. Not only swing state, we won the popular vote by millions of votes. They elected me, this was the #1 issue, and now we have judges radicalized, and they're crazy because they want us to have, if you believe this, they want us to have a trial for every person that came in illegally into our country. So they come into our country illegally, and then we're supposed to take weeks, I guess, and months to have a trial on every criminal, and we have murderers all over the country. I don't think the Supreme Court will stand for that. I can't believe it. Because you know what? If they do, we're not going to have a country.
Australia's film industry is asking Mel Gibson to use his influence with President Trump to stop new U.S. film tariffs. They say the tariffs aimed at boosting U.S. film production would devastate Australia's industry, causing job losses and higher ticket prices. Industry leaders are hoping Gibson, a Trump advisor, will convince him to reconsider. Gibson himself could be impacted as he plans to film in Italy.
Well, I think it shows that this is a global industry. Mel Gibson putting together a film in Italy. Hopefully, Mel Gibson, as one of Trump's advisors in this space, is telling the president that this is a dumb idea. So for Mel Gibson to make his movie in Italy and then to have a 100% tariff for it to be shown in America is just nonsensical. It's just silly.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
We are now open for business. It is a signal to the world. We are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa NET25.
There's been a significant shift in the plans for AI giant OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT. The company has now dialed back earlier proposals to become fully for profit. Instead, its non-profit parent will retain control, a move that could impact CEO Sam Altman's influence. Take a look.
OpenAI has dialed back its plan to turn into a for-profit company, announcing its non-profit parent will stay in control, according to its CEO Sam Altman Monday. It's the latest after years of legal challenges and boardroom drama for the AI maker of ChatGPT that at one point 2 years ago saw members of the non-profit board ousting Altman over a breakdown in trust. In a blog post, Altman said OpenAI will remain a non-profit that would still control its for-profit arm. Back in December, Altman first proposed a set of restructuring plans that turns OpenAI's for-profit arm into a public benefit corporation, a structure that gives shareholders returns while the firm still focuses on social goals. But those plans would see the non-profit parent ceding control. OpenAI said Monday that instead the non-profit part will keep a grip on the company while it pushes ahead with restructuring its for-profit arm to help raise more capital. Monday's announcement is a major win for OpenAI's critics. The firm's earlier plans to move to an outright for-profit drew backlash on whether it had strayed too far from its original aim to develop AI for the public good. Meanwhile, despite Monday's announcement, Elon Musk, a co-founder of OpenAI, says he'll proceed with his lawsuit against Altman and his firm. The suit seeks to block OpenAI's transition to a for-profit business. Musk earlier this year made an unsolicited $97 billion bid for OpenAI that was rejected by Altman. OpenAI in March said it would raise up to $40 billion in a new funding round by SoftBank, which valued the startup at $300 billion. After Monday's move, Altman said OpenAI would still be able to receive funding from the Japanese tech investor.
Japan's tourism scene has been booming and people are looking for more than just the usual sights. Now, one former school is tapping into the popularity of anime by offering a pretty unique experience, the chance to be a Japanese high school student for a day.
A tourism boom has seen millions flock to Japan in recent years, whether for cherry blossoms, low prices thanks to a weak yen, or a love for all things Japanese animation. And what's the most anime place of all? Perhaps a Japanese high school. Here at this former school southeast of Tokyo, you can be a student for a day, just like in Jujutsu Kaisen or Slam Dunk, while bowing to your teacher, practicing calligraphy, and wearing those trademark sailor-style outfits.
The uniforms really helps with the whole immersion experience. The teacher is really in character, and just being able to do it with my friends makes the whole experience super fun.
At Kimino High School, for a cool $245, you can also clean your classroom and serve school lunch to your classmates, just like real Japanese students do. Repeat visitors in the tourism boom, like Jason Wu, on his 10th trip to Japan, are seeking out more immersive experiences like this.
Based on the things I've seen in anime, in shows, things I've read, it felt pretty authentic. It got compressed into one day, which is kind of what you have to do. But I would say, yeah, I feel like I was in the shoes of a high school student again in a different country.
The event fits nicely with plans by the government to coax visitors into the countryside and away from Tokyo and Kyoto, both now dealing with over-tourism. It's also an opportunity born of another trend, Japan's aging society. That's according to the attraction's founder, Takaaki Yoneji.
日本では、年間に
Around 400 to 500 schools are closed down in Japan every year. In the old days, there were plenty of children, and they needed schools around the various regions. But the children are getting fewer, and a lot of schools are being abandoned. So the question of what to do with those schools is becoming a big issue.
これはじゃあこの後学校をどうするのかっていうのはすごく大きな課題になってます。
Kimino was once Kameyama Middle School, but it shut down in 2020 as student numbers dwindled. According to official data, nearly 6,500 schools across the country have closed over the past 2 decades. Some, at least, are getting a new lease on life.
When blood supplies are low, heroes rise. In Italy South, members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo are answering the call with a dedicated INC Giving Blood donation event, providing a crucial lifeline for those in need. Take a look.
Roma, capitale d'Italia, è nota per la sua storia, la sua arte, la sua straordinaria architettura e cucina, ma è anche una città che si impegna a rispondere alle esigenze sanitarie dei suoi cittadini. In particolare, si mobilita costantemente nell'organizzazione di eventi per la donazione del sangue, un bene essenziale per salvare vite, come spiega Livia, una volontaria dell'Associazione Donatori Sangue del Lazio.
Tieni presente che con una sacca di sangue puoi salvare 3 vite. E il sangue serve anche per un normale parto, per una nascita. Quindi per le cose più banali, fino purtroppo ai tanti incidenti e malattie che ci sono tutti i giorni.
Nonostante questi benefici noti, ad oggi molti sono ancora esitanti a donare.
La grande reticenza è da parte delle persone che non hanno mai donato, cercando di fargli capire qual è l'importanza di donare il sangue e perché andrebbe fatto con regolarità.
Consapevoli di questo grande bisogno, i membri della Chiesa di Cristo del distretto ecclesiastico del Sud Italia hanno condotto una donazione del sangue del INC Giving, in collaborazione dell'Associazione Donatori Sangue Lazio e gli ufficiali del CMDPS, o Christian Medical Dental Paramedical Society.
Napakaganda po ang naging resulta ng blood donation na activity ng CMDPS sa araw na ito. Dahil napakaraming mga kabataan ang nagpakuha ng mga dugos kasama ang kanilang mga magulang. Ang Italian Blood Donation Association po ay tuwang-tuwa dahil mas maraming mga kabataan ang nagpakuha ng dugo sa araw na ito.
Io non conoscevo la vostra comunità, è stato un caso, e siamo rimasti molto contenti e molto soddisfatti dell'iniziativa che stiamo portando avanti nella giornata di oggi.
Durante questo evento, molti giovani hanno donato per la prima volta, proprio come Ron e Jenny.
Ho partecipato a questa attività dell'INC Giving, nel donare il sangue, ed è stata anche la mia prima volta. Mi ha motivato il sapere che il mio sangue possa servire ad altre persone, a coloro che ne hanno bisogno.
Allora, è la prima volta che dono, onestamente mi sento benissimo, pensavo peggio e lo rifarei altre 1000 volte. Sono felicissima perché con questo piccolo gesto sono consapevole che riesco ad aiutare tanta gente.
Grazie a questa iniziativa è cresciuta la consapevolezza sull'importanza di questo gesto e molti si sono sentiti ispirati a partecipare attivamente in future donazioni di sangue.
Quest'oggi, grazie al nostro Signore Dio, abbiamo fatto questa attività, cioè quello di donare il sangue, ed è questo lo scopo della Chiesa di Cristo, cioè quello di aiutare il nostro prossimo. Per questo motivo, con tutto il cuore, ringraziamo il nostro ministro esecutivo, il fratello Edoardo Manalo, per averci dato la possibilità di aiutare l'amministrazione nel suo scopo, cioè quello di dare gioia al nostro Signore Dio attraverso il compimento dei nostri vari doveri.
Felici di aiutare il prossimo, i membri della Chiesa di Cristo in questa parte del mondo continueranno con altre collaborazioni sociocivili come questa.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.
This program is supported by High Love.